How do you decide which ship you fly when you fly solo? My solo ship bar is often split into ships for domination and deathmatch. So I usually have two for one and three for the other, or maybe two for each and then one ship that's good at both. And so I start with that, and then for those two spots, I want each one to do a different job. For example, for domination, I want a ship that can, if it's on a satellite, can kill other players on the satellite, or be very tanky so that it can hold the satellite, so that my teammates can kill, right? And then I'll have a different ship for domination that's maybe all about being off the satellite and being able to kill things faster, like gunship hunting or killing things on the satellite. Like if you're playing a gunship, you can kill things on the satellite quicker. And then for deathmatch, I usually have a ship that's just very quick at killing multiple players, so that if we end up in a racing scenario, you can race your opponents faster. And then I have another ship that's set up to counter a strong player or strong players on the enemy team. For example, like a remote slicing ship is great at helping slow down someone on the enemy team that's killing very quickly. Whereas like a mangler gunship or a Ricer Starguard, a T1 strike fighter, is very fast at killing multiple targets, right? So you could put those ships on your bar. So basically, when you're designing a solo bar, you want to be able to do a bunch of different jobs, but you want to really focus on the job you're trying to do. So that's how I decide what ship to fly when I'm solo. All right, next question. Are scouts in a good spot currently? I love them, but I feel out of place, though I'm still learning. Wow, that's open-ended. So in domination, scouts are in a really good place right now. The Sting, which is the ship I have right now, right in front of me, is just so good in domination right now. It is one of the best ships at killing other ships on a satellite. It's very difficult to kill a Sting on a satellite because when you're on a satellite, if you're playing defensively, it's hard to lock a missile on a target. And the Sting has access to distortion field, which can break a lock if you think they're going to lock a missile on you. Or you have like retro thrusters, which kind of keep you on the node even though you have to use a missile break. You're not losing too much defense time. So that ship is just really good in domination right now. It's suffering. Yeah, and burst lasers are just fantastic.
Can't
Burst
lasers.
Yeah,
Especially
burst.
since all your targets who are trying to be taking the SAT are so close to you.
Yeah. Yeah, burst lasers are just fantastic on a node. Now in deathmatch, the Sting is suffering quite a bit right now. It's just not a great ship in deathmatch. It's too easy to peel. Protons are very good at stopping the Sting from going out and doing what it wants to do, which is just like to go murder people up close. And when you engage in turning fights, it takes a little bit too long with no cover to kill someone because, strike fighters have a lot of shields and gunships could kind of be a little bit evasive until someone can lock a proton on that Sting on you. Now, the blood mark is fantastic, is way better than it used to be in domination. It's just like we used to play Tensor Field to activate Tensor Field and literally suicide into the capital ship to switch to a better ship because it just wasn't in a good place in the meta. And now like it's a very tanky build on nodes. You can have access to like repair drone, or you can build it with distortion if you want, and you can just live a really long time on a satellite because EMP missile on it is very good and that stuff. Now the EMP field ship, while not as popular, it's still a very good disruptive ship, and especially in deathmatch, you can play this style where you're constantly EMP fielding your opponents and getting all the power-ups, and then you can use those power-ups really well because you're very fast ship, so you can kind of like pick off the weak ships, right? And just constantly keep EMPing. So yeah, it's a long answer to your question, but I think spots.
Blood bar,
Yeah.
a thing to expand. I've been recently running the Hydrospanner on it,
Mm-hmm.
and finding that increases its survivability even more. Like also running repair drones.
Yep.
repair drones the best. Like, they're just amazing. Is it worth having that much survivability with the blood mark in something like a domination, or maybe if you're doing well enough, have something else?
So it depends what you're trying to do with the ship, right? Like, let's say you're playing solo and you really need to be dealing damage, then probably not. Like, you're probably going to want to start with Tensor to get your team to a node and then try to do damage with the ship, and if you die, you can switch off to something more aggressive. But if your goal is to just hold a node as long as possible and just be a pest, right? To just get on a node, a green node, and just make it uncappable, then yeah, Hydrospanner is a great step for it. A great spot for it. Especially when playing in a group, right? For group strategy sense, having one person on a Tensor ship the whole game is kind of nice. You're bringing a repair drone for your team, you're bringing constant speed buffs, and if you're running that Hydrospanner build, you can constantly go to whatever green satellite is being assaulted and just be that guy that's on the node so that your teammates don't have to be there the whole time. They can get off the node and go kill people that are trying to get there, because it's always easier to kill people on a satellite when you can get off of it, because it gives you more angles. Alright.
The trade-off is that getting off of it also means sacrificing having one-man capping.
Yeah. Next question. What is the best defense to avoid getting one-shot? Alright, well, actually, one of the other questions is how do you get like a one-shot on someone? And I actually know Oku well, and Oku is not one-shotting you. Oku is firing many shots in a short amount of time. And I'd actually like to show that off. I'll just have a heavy and quads Piledriver build here. Alright, I'm going to invite Sylvie to a group. And
I'm grouped with Amethyst.
You're grouped with Amethyst. Okay, well, we need 2 groups. So we're going to need one more player for a challenge match. Is anyone in the chat willing to log in just to give us another body to pop a challenge match? I just need one more volunteer. Alright, cool.
Oh, that's Yui, isn't it?
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to invite Yui on my team. And then Sylvie and Amethyst, if you guys can group up, and then I will challenge you guys. Oh my god. Typing these names is going to be a nightmare, isn't it?
Alt plus 130.
Okay.
And that's the only special character.
Alright. Can I copy this? Alright, hopefully I can copy this for a multiple challenge. So did this work? Sweet.
New challenge.
Alright, so let's tee up a quad deathmatch here.
Does it matter what I fly? Do you want me to bring something in particular?
Just, I don't know, maybe just a strike fighter or like something that has like a lot of health, right? Like a lot of hit points.
Sure.
There we go.
Super special group pop. Alright.
Alright, so I'm actually running a build that's less weapon power efficient than Oku's specific build. However, it has a faster time to kill. So this will kill faster than Oku normally does. Because he runs ions. But it's like we're talking points of a second difference. Like, it's not a very big difference at all. And I'm going to show you it without damage overcharge, and then I'll show you it with damage overcharge, because I've watched Oku play, and their damage overcharge presence, like they know where they are, right? So they're constantly getting them. For example, like
deals with predictable spawns.
yeah, exactly.
So where's this Dio?
This one is... Got the globes are hard. I'm pretty sure it's right here. It's like one of these ones in the middle right now. Those ones are hard to tell. But yeah.
Alright, time for some poor tactical strategy where I just boost out really hard to the middle.
Yeah, I just need you to stop somewhere, just so I can show off this damage target, so we know where Dio is. Yeah, so here's Amethyst. We're going to get him to stop here. Alright, so he's stopped. We're at 5,000 range. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So if you hold left click, right, you're firing your heavy lasers. And then if you press 1, you switch to quads, right? You fire your quads. Now, what's cool is, we're going to wait for weapon power here, but if you hold left click and then spam 1, you can see me switching lasers and firing more shots than I normally would. Can you actually move, Sylvie, so that we have just one target? Alright, perfect. Alright, so can you actually put full shields forward here on your directional shields, Amethyst? So he currently has like 7,000 shields up front, right? And about 1,500 hull. So he currently has about 8,000 hull, and this is how fast this build kills. So that was my entire weapon pool, right? And
I have red hull.
Yeah. So that's like the most shields you can have in the game. So I'll show you on Sylvie's gunship here, and it'll be a lot quicker.
I'll switch to a Ricer with quick charge, which is a pretty common build.
So that's how fast this build kills with just lasers. Now I'll show you with damage overcharge, because this is likely what's happening to you.
And I'll also stay, should I stay in F4? I'll stay in F4 too.
Sure. Well, you can be an F1. Most people are being F1.
Alright, that's
Doesn't matter. Anyways, this is what this looks like. There you go. It's a under 1 second kill. And here it is on a gunship. Alright? On the gunship, it's specifically, like, disgusting. There you go. That's a 0.5 second kill.
Oh yeah, Piledriver punishes gunships. Here is F2 with my quick charge as well. I'm trying. I see Oku coming. I see Draco coming. I'm getting ready. Oh man, that didn't help.
Yeah, they have private matches now, so we can show this stuff off. So yeah, that's the power of this build. The weakness of this build is that, for example, Sylvie, just fly laterally from me. Right? Just so if you're trying to hit, you'll notice like the cursor is shifting, right? Because these guns have different fire speeds. So if you're just flying defensive, it's very difficult to pin down both lasers at the same time. Whereas like with one laser, you can kind of take your time with it. As for I'm just going to answer another quick question that someone had come up with, and they wanted to know like how do you one-shot players, right? So the easiest one-shot in the game is to play anything with a slug railgun and just go get damage overcharge. So we're going to go get damage overcharge, and we're going to shoot them once, and they're going to die. Sylvie, do you mind SDing real quick, just so that you're at full health for the next one? Alright. Alright, so we have damage overcharge now. We're going to look at Amethyst. And there you go. It's not quite a one-shot because it's fully upgraded, but you can see all we need is a little quarter charge, right? Right after that to finish him off. But, so here comes Sylvie's Ricer. Same idea here, just a little quarter shot. If you guys could spawn in a gunship, just to show that off. I'm at the middle spawn. Just Dio's wearing off, so. Come on, I'm gonna run out of Dio, aren't I? I only have 5 seconds left.
No, you're not.
And boom. Just like that.
Can you get me too? No.
No, no, Dio wore off. I can go get the next one though. Let's do that real quick.
Do you have dampening on your gunship too?
Nah, I have range. Just waiting for the next one to spawn. Once that spawns, we'll switch questions. There it is. If you guys are wondering how I know where the damage overcharge maps, like where they spawn, we have maps on the forums for them. All right, so Sylvie's on a scout. Dio Slug will always one-shot a scout, so that's just like an easy one. And then you have a gunship.
I'm gonna charge my railgun too. Oh fuck.
So yeah, that's how one shots. Other easy one shots are proton torpedoes with damage overcharge. They're an automatic one shot against anything but a bomber. And then you can actually have a crit talent on proton torpedo, and 10% of the time it does 50% more damage, and that will one shot anything but a bomber as well. I think. Oh no, it won't one shot a strike. Yeah. Alright, so next question. At which experience would you recommend people switch from Hydrospanner to other abilities? I don't know, like Hydrospanner's definitely easy to play, because it's like you look at your hull, if it's not green you press 4, but a lot of the abilities are pretty easy to play. Like Wingman you use when you need more accuracy, running interference you use when you get shot by something so that the next shots don't happen. I don't think any of the copilot abilities are particularly complicated. I think people could start experimenting with them, I don't know, like 10, 20 games in, depending on... Like, it depends on the player is really the answer here. If they want to learn other stuff first, then you can just keep going with the Hydrospanner and then learn other stuff, or if you want to focus on learning other things. How are scouts...
I like Hydrospanner in solo.
Yeah, Hydrospanner's great, by the way. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play Hydrospanner once you're new to flying. Like, I still run Hydrospanner on almost half my ships. It's still very good. Alright, so next question was, how are scouts these days? And the Tensor one, the third one, I think. So I actually already answered that question at the start. Someone asked me if scouts were in a good place. So you'll be able to check that out in the VOD later. So I'm just going to skip to the next one. Sorry.
Yes, the answer is yes. They're in a good
Yeah,
place.
scouts are in a good spot. The Sting is a little rough in deathmatch right now, is the short answer.
Great in domination.
Alright. Alright. Next question is... How do you cheat in a gunship by moving while firing? Alright, so when you're in scope mode, you can't move, right? And you're locking your railgun. However, if you hold shift, you can strafe your ship. So see how I'm moving up and down without actually moving the ship? Like it says my throttle's gone, so you can actually strafe in GSF. Now what's cool is you can strafe while charging a railgun. So you can kind of move your ship. And what this is useful for is, let's say we have Amethyst over here, right? And we want to hide behind a rock. Like so. So we can't see Amethyst right now. But what we can do is we can strafe up. We can actually charge our railgun and strafe up. And then when we poke out, we shoot. And then we strafe back down, right? And we can do it again. Takes a little bit of practice, but you can actually get it.
I'm going to try and proton lock you at the same time. And I'd already lost lock.
See, and you can just duck down.
I've already lost lock.
So yeah, that's how you do that.
Hydrospanner saved me.
So which ships do you use Hydrospanner on? Any ship that, so like on a gunship, almost never, because wingman is so damn important. Accuracy is super important on a gunship, and therefore I almost always use wingman. Strike fighters often you're just building them as like a tank that also has a decent amount of damage to them. So Hydrospanner just kind of fits really well there. On a scout, if you're trying to be, I don't know, a little bit more aggressive out in the open and you're worried about getting protoned, Hydrospanner can make you survive 1 proton. So you can kind of use it for that. Still on scouts, I kind of prefer running wingman or running interference just because they stack so well with the rest of the stuff you're doing. And then on bombers, almost always. I really like Hydrospanner on bombers because the other copilot abilities don't do that much. Times I don't run Hydrospanner on my strikes. Often when I'm running a repair probe clarion, I will omit Hydrospanner because it's already healing. Unless you want to double up, right? It's if you're building a ship to be as tanky as possible, then you could throw both on it. All right. While I'm talking about the accuracy on a gunship, someone sent me a question asking basically how to aim better with a railgun.
Back to the last question.
Sure.
You tell them concentrated fire. I know you don't like concentrated fire.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of concentrated fire, but concentrated fire is also really great ability you can use with like the pile driving technique that we showed off earlier, which is the switching of the weapons. Yeah. So it's also a very good DPS move. All right, so with railguns, so the first trick is that you can zoom in and out, right, with your scroll wheel. A lot of people don't know that. When you just right click, you're at 62% zoom, which is pretty far in, and then you can slowly zoom out with your scroll wheel, which makes it a lot easier to aim. Okay. The other thing is, when you're aiming, you move your ship around, right? Like you're actually moving your ship, like turning it essentially. So if you're trying to track targets, what you want to do is kind of lead them. I'm gonna need you guys to move a little bit here because I can't really show off tracking a target. So let's say I wanted to shoot amethyst, right? So if you guys can move, just move around a little bit, like, and let's say I want to shoot amethyst, right? So I'm going to charge my railgun. Now I don't want to hold my railgun over him the whole time. What I actually want to do is start charging the railgun and predict where he's going to be so that he's at the center of my screen. Because if you try to shoot people at the edge of your arc, you have a lower chance to hit, and that's what the tracking penalty is. Yeah, so you always want to try to load it up so that they're at the middle of your screen or close to it when you fire your shot, right? Alright, can I get Sylvie to stop moving for a second here? Alright, so if you fire at the edge of your arc, you have a really low chance to hit. So like right now, I'm just going to use Ion just so we don't kill him. So in the middle of my screen here, it's almost a guaranteed hit against a bomber, right? But if you fire at the edge of your arc, this is really hard to do. Anyways, if you fire at the edge of your arc, you have a lower chance to hit them. So like when you're tracking someone, see how not all the shots are hitting, right? Whereas like you can almost always hit a shot if you're dead center. But the way the math works is that for every degree you're off center here, you take 5%. You have 5% less accuracy. So that the goal is to always shoot them while they're right in the middle of the arc. We ran out of time in the custom match. That's what happened there. Okay, where was I? I do remember Duskmare from Bastion. Welcome. Are there any ships you'd recommend to new players to spend fleet rec on to ease the introduction to GSF? If it's your very first character and you're brand new to the game, honestly, when you get the 25,000 fleet rec token, what I would do is buy all of the ships. All right, you just buy them all because you gain enough fleet rec to buy them all. And the reason for this is when you use your daily token or your weekly token, it gives you requisition on all of the ships you own. So if you own 12 ships and you use one daily token, you've gained like 20,000 requisition from that. Whereas had you not bought all of those ships and you only bought like one that you're asking for a recommendation for, you would you would get less rec for all those dailies. If you're not new to GSF and you're making an alt, then yeah, you can spend that fleet requisition on one ship. But I don't think it's worth dumping the fleet rec into one ship just to make it like a little bit easier, because you get requisitions so fast now. As far as any ships I'd recommend to new players, I think the Ricer is one of the best ships to start with. Ricer/Starguard. This ship is just really great. I don't know that I would suggest using this technique right away, but like just using heavy lasers and protons and quick charge, and then you can use either barrel roll or retro.
Start with Ion instead of quad, friend.
Yeah, or rapids. Like heavy rapids is a great build because you have like a long range cannon and a short range cannon.
Cultist really likes heavy rapids.
Yeah, this ship has a lot of tools, and a lot of the things you're doing aren't difficult like mentally. For example, quick charge shield is very simple. When you press 2, it gives you shields back. So after you take damage, you press 2 and it gives you shields back. So it just makes sense. And then you have one missile and then you have your laser. So you're a ship that's pretty tanky, and because quick charge shield helps you with your engine management, you just have a lot of tools. Gunship's also great for beginners.
Both because protons and slugs also can get kills whenever they're like unranked weapons.
Yeah. Slug Railgun is so good. And it's just always has been. The only hard part about playing Gunship is the defensive play. It's very difficult to play, to survive on a gunship if someone wants to kill you. Scouts are a little tougher to start with. Probably stick to Strike Fighter or Gunship. Bomber's also pretty easy to learn on, but you have to be trying to learn on it. You have to be trying to shoot people with lasers and whatnot, and move around. Like,
defending good positions.
Yeah. While you can be useful to your team by going to a corner and just dropping all of your mines and drones and whatnot, you're not learning by playing that way. So you're not going to get any better. Like, that's going to be your ceiling. You're just going to keep doing that forever. So if you
get punished by EMPs and ions.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools to stop bombers. Alright, next question. How does the shield power color coding work? Let's go into a game to do that.
Bring light lasers.
Just gotta wait a minute here for this to pop. I saw someone ask, do I have ship builds online somewhere? Yeah, if you look at the bottom of my Twitch page, actually, there is a picture that says all of my ship builds. All you have to do is click on that picture and it brings you to my forum post with all of my up-to-date ship builds. I try to keep that forum thread up to date, and every time I change it, I put a post on the forums that says what I changed and a little reason of why I changed it.
It is exhaustive. Any type of ship that you want in there.
Yeah, keep in mind that there are ships that I don't play very much that I put up there. For example, the Decimus the other day, someone asked me why I chose that build. Honestly, because I find that build fun. it's not good. But when I play a Decimus, I'm not looking for it to be a good ship. I'm just looking for it to be, fun. Alright, so at the bottom left here we have our ship, and then we have the colors around it. So the colors are based on how much percentage of shields you have. So double green means you're at 100% max shields. So it's what it was on your stat sheet before you came in the game. When you're in power to weapons, the outer shield turns yellow, and that's because when you're in power to weapons, you lose 15% of your max shields. So we're currently at 85%. So that means it's either at like 80 or 90 that it switches from green to yellow. I don't remember the exact stats on hand. And then anytime you go above 100, the outer shield turns blue. So by putting myself in power to shields here, it turns blue. And it doesn't matter how much above 100 you are, it'll be blue. So if you use Fortress Shield on a gunship and you have like 200% of your normal shields or whatnot, it'll still be blue. And it'll remain blue until you hit 100% of those base stats you started with. And then I'm just gonna go get one of these guys to shoot me to show you the difference. You guys have a ship with like something that shoots slow?
Yeah. Oh, slow?
Well, just take one shot at a time. Should be fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so you can see orange on the outer shield.
4 damage.
Yeah. And then it disappears. So it's like green, orange, green, yellow, orange, red, basically, and then nothing on both sides. So it's probably about 10% per shield arc for this. But the general idea is green is good, red is bad.
I can see you're at 25 on...
Yeah, there we go.
It's another 315. I'm just gonna wait for your shield to charge back up.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, guys. Alright, next question was... oh, you didn't know about the gunship zoom? Yeah, great. Awesome. That's why we're here. What should I do to make tighter and faster turns? That's a great question. Alright, so... if we're turning, a lot of people think that when you bring your cursor to the edge of your arc, your firing arc, that's the fastest turning. It's actually not. If you go higher, you can see we actually turn faster. Now the other thing that people don't realize, that some people don't realize, is that you pitch faster than you yaw. So if I go up here, we can see how fast we're turning, right? But if I go to the side, look at the difference. Just keep my ship sideways here. See how much slower we turn compared to this? It's actually about a like 70% difference in turning. It's a big difference. Now, what you can do is if you want to go sideways, you just roll your ship. And then once you roll it, you put your cursor at the top of the screen. So what I like to do is always turn by going up, and then I roll the ship. And you roll by using A and D on your... That's your default, right? Like W makes you go faster, S makes you go slower. You can see the throttle next to my engine power on the right there. And then you just want to always pitch instead of yawing. Like you can immediately see the difference. It's kind of wild once you turn your ship up.
Do you want to add the engine brake into the turn?
Engine brake into the turn. I'm not sure what you mean.
With S and X?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you're turning, like you're pitching, right, and you slow your ship down, you turn in a tighter circle. So you're going to turn around quicker. And then, inversely, if you were holding throttle up, you would be turning even slower. This is another big deal for turning. You can see it. And once you get the hang of that, there's actually a trick where while you're turning, you can you use X to kill your engines completely. Now, when your engines are completely down, you turn really slow. So you don't ever want to turn like this. But if you're in slow speed and you turn it off and on, you can see how the throttle is kind of going in between off and slow, and it turns just that hair faster. It's a little bit harder to do, but you can turn a little bit quicker that way. You can also strafe while turning. So like we talked about strafing earlier. So you can slow down and then strafe. So if I was going around this rock, for example, I could strafe back down. See? I'm strafing down. It's a little bit harder, and it's very niche. Like, you don't use the strafing very much, except for like on a satellite in domination. Alright. Do you use different builds whether you fly solo or in groups? The answer is yes and no. For example, we combine certain things when we play in a group. So if you're playing remote slicing, for example, you have this ability that takes 60% of your target's engines away, or 60 engine power away, right? Not 60%, just 60 engine power. Now, if you have a gunship that you're playing with, they can choose to talent their Ion Railgun to either slow the target or slow the target's regeneration of like engine power and weapon power and whatnot. So if you were to pair these two up, you'd want your gunship partner to be taking that slower regen, because you're removing their engine power, and then the gunship is also removing engine power and then lowering the regen, and it's kind of like a soft combo together. Excuse me. Same idea being, let's say you're playing with a bomber that has an ability that interdicts the target, which is like to slow them. Then you could have that same gunship take the slow ability on this Ion Railgun because it stacks with interdiction effects. So now you have this combo that slows a target twice, making them almost unable to move. So you want to pick builds that complement each other when playing in a group. Another great thing to talk about is that if you have a ship that is, like a gunship that does a tremendous amount of damage all the time, but can't do much when it's on defense, you'd want your teammate to be playing something that can peel for that gunship, like a remote slicing build, or maybe a quell with EMP, Type 2 strike, like a quell or a pike with EMP missiles and proton missiles. Therefore, you're constantly locking missiles on the targets that are trying to kill your gunship, and that gunship is a little bit more free to deal more damage. When playing domination, the way we play as a team is we often have two people on ships that are designed to be on the satellite dealing damage and tanking and whatnot, and then two ships off the satellite that are out hunting gunships and hunting bombers that are trying to get to the satellite. Because proactive defenses are important in domination. You don't always want to just let your opponents get to the satellite, because many ships are easier to kill off of it, like scouts or bombers. What is my take on bombers these days? I think bombers are kind of in a rough space right now. I think most ships you're going to want to, or most of the time you're going to want to play something a little bit more proactive than a bomber. So like a strike fighter or a gunship or scout in domination. I
usually don't even carry a bomber on my bar anymore.
Yeah,
sometimes, but not usually.
Hyperspace beacon is still very good in domination, but generally only if 4 good players are going to use it. So if you think you have 4 other players on your team that are going to be using your hyperspace beacon enough to justify it, then it's probably worth it. But if you think you're the best player on your team, you probably shouldn't be playing bomber. You should be carrying. You should be doing proactive killing and getting satellites and whatnot. In team deathmatch, repair drones are still very powerful because not dying saves your team points, right? And then giving your gunships somewhere to go if they're in trouble is very useful too. So having one or two bombers on your team that know, where to set up like a decent nest or hold a choke point or something can be useful. But again, like if you have other good players that you're putting this up for. All right. How do the shield percentage work for my enemies in the interface? I'm gonna come back to that one. I'm not sure what you mean. If you can, do you mean the shields up here at the top right in the targeting computer? I'm gonna do the next question. All right. Let me say that this is a scout station defender. Your double interdiction hurts, and your team builds do as well. Okay. Does a tier 4 left slow effect on a razor wire seismic stack with their interdiction mine? Toxic, absolutely, because the way slow effects stack is there's two categories of a slow. One is a slow that only affects your speed that you move forward, and then there are other slows that affect your speed you move forward and your turning, right? And those are two different categories. So most interdiction effects, like interdiction mine, interdiction drone, interdiction drive, interdiction missile, they all affect turning, right? And then you have other slow effects like concussion missile or ion railgun. They only affect the speed you're moving forward. Same with seismic mine. Seismic mine slow only affects the speed you're moving forward. So because of that, they stack. Now seismic mine slow is only 3 seconds. So even if you hit them with a seismic mine interdiction at the same time, they only have those two slows on them for 3 seconds. But yeah, the answer is they do stack. The one in the targeting computer. All right, so let's look at Amethyst real quick here. So we're gonna shoot him. This is his front shield. So we can see that the top part here is the front shield, right? And the bottom part is the back shield. Can you just keep your shields unified, right? So we're gonna let him go back to full. All right, and you can also see under his name here, the left side is his front shield and the right side is his back shield. And the percentage, so you can see we brought him down to like 35%. This is of both arcs together. So if you were to add these up, they would, it's always 100 max, right? Because it's percentage of current shield max is how that works up here. All right, I think we're caught up. Does anyone have any other questions? I have other questions I can answer from some people sent me private questions, so I can get to that. I just wanted to answer the live ones first. Do the accuracy thresholds of various primaries work like how accuracy in PvE work? I see lows like 93% and highs like 107%, but I suspect they just affect your firing arc. So the way accuracy works is it's a... if I have 100% and you have 25% evasion and I shoot you, there's a 75% chance I deal damage, is how that works.
Is that... Yui's got a high evasion, too. I'm like missing half of these. Not half, 1/3 of them I'm missing.
Excuse me. The other thing that comes into play is firing arc. Tracking penalty. So the further you are from the very center of your firing arc, you get an extra penalty to accuracy, right? So if you have 100% accuracy, but you have, you lose 5% for every degree you're off center. If you're 5 degrees off center, you now only have 75% accuracy. And then after that, you have to go against their evasion. So to get complicated here, if you have 100, you're 5 degrees off, you're down to 75, and then they have 25 evasion, now you're down to 50. So now you only have a 50% chance to hit each shot. And you can go over 100% accuracy. So if you have 130% accuracy and they have 30% evasion, you always hit them because it's 130 minus 30. So you're at 100. And you were talking about like high accuracies. For example, like burst laser has one of the highest accuracies close range. It has 123% accuracy. And then you'll actually see many scouts play wingman as well, which gives you 20% more accuracy for 20 seconds. So you actually go to like 140% accuracy so that you can negate the other player's evasion. You can also negate your own tracking penalty, because like the tracking penalty on burst lasers is half a percent per degree. So yeah. Oscar asks, if you think you're the best on your team, you shouldn't play bomber. So, oh, you're just trolling me. All right, fair enough. What the fuck? I love burst lasers now. Yeah, burst lasers are great. Now, burst lasers
are great.
When you're really far out, you can see at 4,000 range, you only have a 78% chance. So, like, you really, really want to get close with burst lasers. And then, like, heavy lasers, for example, heavy laser has very little drop-off. So, like, you can shoot heavy lasers from max range and still have just really great chances to hit, right? Quad lasers have a little bit more swing in them. So they're a little bit better up front than heavies are, but a little bit worse at range. I'm just going to take a quick couple of minutes to go get a drink, guys. My throat's getting sore, so I'll be right back.
Sylvia, do you have any more fireworks? I didn't bring mine. Alright, we'll put on a little show. We'll turn around so they can see you. Well, that you just keep turning.
Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Alright, we're just getting some band practice in.
Nice. Oh, I accidentally hit the volume on my headset. Now everything's weird.
Sylvie's getting a drink too.
Okay.
Well, no, he's got a vending machine in here.
Gotcha.
Doesn't sound like a bad idea. Go for a space pop.
Alright. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to answer some of the ones that got sent to me on the forums. So first up, someone asked how feedback shield works. So we're going to show how feedback shield works. And next was someone asked me about using power dive on the Imperium when you're on your way to a node. Alright, I'll answer that real quick. What are the most difficult components in GSF in your opinion? The most difficult? Directional shields. Directional shields are really hard to use properly. Power dive. Power dive. Well, Sabo probe's really just a missile, right? So it's like any other missile. Yeah, capitalizing on it's maybe a little bit harder than other stuff. So yeah, like directional shields, power dive. Rocket pods are pretty hard because of the high tracking penalty. Like aiming with them can be difficult.
Beacons.
Beacons?
Yeah. People get killed from them all the time.
Oh, like putting a bad hyperspace beacon out, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. People don't know which way you're going to come out of a hyperspace beacon. Yeah, in my mind I was thinking of like you actually using like when you press the ability, but
Directionals has got to be one of the hardest.
yeah. Alright, those are the big difficult ones I can think of. Like just aiming lasers is hard. Like in general. So like any laser could be difficult. Yeah, spot it. All right, so Yui, do you have a Tensor Scout with speed on this character?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of science. All right, so the question was, I'm just gonna go read it because I've been doing that with all the questions. Is it worth using power dive for mobility, getting to the satellite at the start, or moving between satellites when playing a clarion in a similar way that some other ships barrel roll for mobility? And he goes on to ask like that he thinks it is, but he was just wondering if Tensor had a role in it. And the quick answer is that yes. I believe that when you have a speed Tensor, it is faster to just boost to the node than to power dive on the way there. I believe you'll get there with a little bit less engine power, but you'll get there faster. And since I'm not 100% sure on that, we're just going to science it.
Woo!
So we'll do Lost Shipyards domination. Yeah, feedback can be rough to use too. You're right. All right, so I'm gonna go to A. And
A particular ship.
it's really just my side. I just need to know. I'm just looking at. I'm gonna look at the timings here. So the first run here, I just want you to tensor me, Yui, and then I'll see how long it takes me to get to the node, and then we'll do we'll both suicide. We'll do like a second run to get to the same node, but I'll power dive. We'll see which one gets there faster.
All right.
This is for the first part of his question.
You guys are doing this on B, right?
A. Still a little further, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be going to A.
I wanna try timing a thing.
Sure.
Yeah, Sylvie, let's double rainbow.
Well, I'm on an Imperium,
You
right?
have
So.
a black bolt.
Oh, damn it. Never mind. I don't even. I've ruined everything.
Alright, so 1410. We leave the cap ship.
I'm just gonna go watch.
And then about 1354. So it took 16 seconds to get to the node. Alright, so I'm just gonna crash here.
Are you taking speed on your power dive? Because that's a factor too.
I have turning.
Yeah. Well, you should for Dom, but you never know.
You ready to spawn?
Yep, I'm out. Let me know.
Okay. Right, Tensor. So 1326. Gonna power dive here. $13.10 is about the same. It was very close, and I'd say the engine power was about the same too. So I don't think you're shaving very much when you're getting tensored. Now, I'm going to do this on my own this time. Very simply, with no tensor, right? And then we'll be able to show that off. So 1245. Just really showing the power of tensor here.
Tensor is a beautiful thing.
Actually ran out of engine power. We'll call it there. So it took 23 seconds to get there. So it took math. Took 7 seconds longer with no tensor. And then we'll do one more, but with power dive. And this is when it's important, because we're going to save engine power. Because power dive is free. So 11:51. Do the power dive. Could probably do a second power dive here. And 11:31. So it was 20 seconds. So we shaved 3 seconds off of our time, but more importantly, with way more engine power when we got to the node, and that's the real important part. Now the reason, like when I get tensored and I don't power dive, is because if I'm gonna have the same engine power and it's gonna take me about the same time, it's better to just have your engine maneuver available, right? If someone starts locking a missile on you, you want it to be off cooldown. That's the same reason, like, even though it's faster for me to get from A to B, let's say, over here, I don't power dive to do it because I want to have access to my engine maneuver when I get here. So even if I have a little bit less engine power when I get here, it means I still have my maneuver available so that I can, break a missile when I get here. Or maybe if someone's locking a missile on me in between the nodes. And that's why I don't power dive, or especially don't barrel roll anymore since the changes, because missiles, they happen so much more now. All right, then we can do feedback shield real quick.
We have satellite access.
Wait, why is power dive cutting your time without tensor but not with tensor? Great question. Because the tensor buff makes your spacebar, your boosting, go faster, right? Whereas tensor doesn't make power dives maneuver go faster. More speed doesn't make your power dive go through its animation quicker. It's the same. So by having the tensor buff, you're spacebarring faster. So that's why you get from one spot to another quicker. Alright, so the way feedback works is feedback does basically nothing unless you have it activated. It has a 20-second cooldown. So let's go find someone here. Find Sylvie. So, Sylvie, if you could look at me. So just shoot me a couple times here. Alright, so you can see like feedback does nothing. Once I have the buff up though, now if Sylvie shoots me, he takes damage. And it only happens once. So like the next time I put it up, it'll happen. You saw it did like 924 damage there. I have it spec'd so that it can crit. I'm going to try to get that to happen, but I don't know if it'll happen. Does anyone have a ship with ion cannons on their bar right now? Amethyst or Sylvie?
Ion cannons, no.
Alright, so ion cannon is bugged and doesn't trigger feedback shield. So you can see Sylvie is shooting me with ion cannon. It doesn't trigger it for some reason. So if you could just trigger feedback here to try to get it to crit. It's 929. So if it were regen tensor and not speed tensor, yeah, you might get to the node like a second quicker, Oscar. I'm not sure on that math. I just know that like if it's like 1 second or something and it's that close, in my mind, like I want to have my engine maneuver available all the time. Like even earlier when, here's feedback again. There's the crit. So 1463. That's what that looks like. Even earlier when I did like the 2 power dives to get to the node, I probably wouldn't do the second one because when I got to the node, I would want access to my power dive. Alright, what are the best shields for bomber, and which mine/laser would you recommend for solo or group play? Like all the different bombers? Alright, I'm going to exit battle and go to the hangar screen to show this off. Alright. let's start with the Legion. So the Legion.
Whoa.
What's up?
Wait, are you guys out of the group match right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sick. Because it's still you can.
Yeah, as long as there's not 3 more players on one team, the game will keep going.
That's great.
Alright, so what are we at? Best shields, which mines and lasers. So as long as you avoid laser cannon, I think you've chosen correctly. Heavy and light lasers are both good. It just depends whether you want a close range bomber or a long range. Oh, preferably the type 1. Alright, so razor wire. Same idea again. I think heavies or lasers are heavy or lights are both great choices. Whether you want to, shoot other stuff on the satellite. This is mostly a satellite ship. Whether you want to shoot other stuff on the satellite or have a laser that can shoot people off of the satellite while you're still on it, and then have like an armor penetration option. That's like that's your basically your choice there. Lately, I've been liking lights quite a bit when I do play this ship, which is not often. I still like Seismic Mine. I like going with the slow and the dot. This just is more damage regularly, and then the slow stacks with the other mine we're using, which is Interdiction Mine. And then this is the big mine. This is like why you'd play this ship in my opinion. This slow is just ridiculous. It's a 20-second slow, and once fully upgraded, it's 60% less speed in turning for 20 seconds. It's brutal when you get hit by this.
If you're a scout, you're dead.
Yeah, it's just get murdered. As far as shields go, I still like playing charge plating on this build. Like, everything right now has armor penetration, but the ability to go for that 99% damage reduction build and just bounce off of walls to turn quicker is...
Yeah, we should show some bouncing.
That one's
okay, I should show that off.
Yeah.
Alright, let's put some deflection armor on here. Defensive. Anyways, I still think charge plating is the way to go. It definitely stay away from shield projector. If you find just everything is just killing you through because you have charge plating anyways, then yeah, you could play overcharged shields. But I find this shield is just so difficult to regenerate back to max once they've killed that big shield. Engines, well, you're playing a hyperspace beacon. Like, why are you playing this ship if not for hyperspace beacon? This is one of the best abilities in the game, and if it was on a better frame, we would just see a whole bunch of them in domination. The ability to spawn ships in near a satellite is crazy. Yeah, I switched to you. Thanks. But yeah, I think that's the build right now. Like, let's show some bouncing. Yeah, lights are really good right now. Lights are fantastic. Alright. While this is loading up, I'll read the next question. Big hypothetical question. Do you think the game would benefit from ships with repair drones getting another team heal method? I'm not sure what you mean. Trying to think of what you mean. Do you think the game would benefit from ships with repair drones getting another team heal method?
Like outside of the Bloodmark and the Legion, and also the Imperium.
Yeah, the Imperium has repair probes. I forgot to put it on my bar. I'm sorry, guys. Let's just reset that. I'm just a little distracted.
I think he's looking for other options for healing aside from the scout or the bomber.
Like, do I think other ships should have repair drone? Probably not. It's a really powerful ability. Like, if you're putting it on something, like there's a reason those are the ships that have it, because they aren't super strong otherwise, right? They're like support builds. And if you're just looking for a different healing ability, then you have repair probes on the Clarion / Imperium, which is very good. Alright, there you go, got on my bar. Alright, so we have deflection armor, which gives us 20% damage reduction. We have Zalek, which gives us 19% damage reduction. Right? That's how that works? No, gives 9% damage reduction. And then the bomber's frame has 10% damage reduction to start. So that's 39 altogether. Charged plating gives you 60% damage reduction when you activate it. And it's all additive. So together, that gives you 99% damage reduction. The way damage reduction works is any damage which would affect your hull is reduced by your damage reduction stat, unless that damage has armor penetration. And a lot of weapons do in GSF. Burst lasers, rapid lasers, heavy lasers, proton torpedoes, EMP missiles, EMP field. All these abilities all have armor penetration. So that's why charge plating isn't good against them. It's great against light lasers though. And the other thing is, when you hit an object in Starfighter, it's considered just straight hull damage. And those objects don't have armor penetration, which means you can hit an object with charge plating on, and you'll take very little damage. Combined with a Hydrospanner copilot ability, you can kind of heal it back. And what this lets you do is, let's say someone's chasing you, you can activate plating and then hit one of these, and then you bounce, turning you very quickly. Or like, if someone's chasing you up top here,
We have satellite access.
and you've taken very little damage. You can hit this wall, turning around quickly.
I tried it, now I'm on fire.
So yeah, if you get the angle right, and I haven't done this in a while, but if you get the angle right, you can actually bounce into other fins and go around the satellite very quickly. Man, I'm really rusty at this. Yeah, I'm doing this wrong. But yeah, so you saw my charge plating ran out there, and I lost that 60% damage reduction, and suddenly I started taking a whole bunch of damage. But you guys get the general idea. So if a ship is chasing you, you can just activate charge plating and just throw your face into a wall and do a quick, like, 180 turn or something like it.
You wanna go assault the cap ship?
Yeah, I'll definitely show that off. So capital ship turrets do a ton of damage, right? Like if you get close to them, you almost just instantly die. Thank you for that. The thing about them though is that turrets don't have armor penetration. So with this build, you can kind of go cheese the capital ship turrets, which we're gonna go do.
Enemy has taken a satellite.
Now they hit so hard that even though they're hitting you for 1% damage, you still start dying pretty quick. But it's pretty funny.
Too.
So you can see,
It took one shot.
and then you can go hide in their hangar.
And put a beacon down so I can spawn.
Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and put a hyperspace beacon down, and we'll watch Yui spawn and die. See? But yeah, that's how charge plating works.
I'm just gonna set down in my hangar here. I'm just gonna land. Just landing my ship.
So many capital ship turrets were shooting me there.
Oop.
Excuse me.
Landing's hard.
Alright, let's find some other questions. Oh, right. Okay, so I have a couple of hanger questions, so I'm just going to go out and do that. So one of the questions was, how do I get the cooldown text on my abilities when I'm playing? So you go to Preferences, User Interface, and if you scroll down here to cooldown settings, there's Show Cooldown Text. While this is a ground game setting, like for your regular character, it also transfers to Starfighter. So once you put this on, you'll have that. And there are different cooldown styles you can use, and I like style 3 for both. And so you can see it's like bright cooldown with a dark overlay, bright cooldown with no overlay, dark cooldown with a dark overlay. Yeah. This is just what I'm used to. So that's how you get the cooldown text to appear on your abilities in GSF. And the other one was, how come my copilot choices keep changing? That is the crew section here. So you have offensive, defensive, tactical, and engineering. So if you choose Lieutenant Pierce here, he gives you these two passives, right? He gives you ammo capacity and weapon accuracy increased. Now he has this active copilot ability, but just putting him in your offensive slot doesn't give you that ability. All this does is give you these two passives. And this works for all of your stuff, right? So if you have Vector here, you get these two passives, and you don't necessarily get Servo Jammer. What chooses what your copilot ability is you have your copilot, and then of your copilot options here, they're the people you chose in the other slots. So for your offensive, we have Lieutenant Pierce, and if we were to choose him, we'd have Concentrated Fire. Malvi Quinn here, if I chose him, I'd have Wingman. And so like if we have Lieutenant Pierce here, but if I change my offensive crew to HK, Pierce disappears. Like now it's HK that's here. And that's how the crew stuff works. So you choose your passives, and then you choose one of your guy with the passives for his active ability. So when you're building your crew choices, you kind of have to keep in mind that depending on the ability you want, you might have to sacrifice a passive. And these are different on the Republic side from the Empire side. That's the only thing that's different from the two sides. And because of it, certain builds work on one faction and not on another. All right. Alright, so this isn't on a list or anything, but a lot of people talk about remote slicing, and that there isn't too much you can do against remote slicing, right? And like how to fly against it and whatnot. So Amethyst and Sylvie, if you guys are up for it, can you put 2 slicing ships on your bar if they're not already there?
Got him.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Alright. So I'm going to play... I'm actually going to do it on a freaking gunship. That's what I'm going to do. It's like one of the hardest. I'll do it on a gunship, and then I'll do it on a strike fighter. By the way, Yui, thanks a bunch for helping pop these.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright, so we'll do it on Lost Shipyard's Deathmatch, because it doesn't have any power-ups. No problem. If you have any more questions, you can post them on the forums too, and I can try to answer them in text. I have an Ask Me Anything thread up there too. Alright, so all I'm going to do here is try to basically run from them, right? They're going to try to... There's going to be 2 slicing ships trying to kill me here, and I'm just going to run from them. And I'm going to show you guys some defensive play and how to play against slicing at the same time.
You're doing it in the gunship?
Yeah.
Whew. Hardcore.
So the big part of why slicing is so scary is because it steals a bunch of your engine power. It like drains your engine power when they use it. You also can't use your missile brake, right? So when you're playing against slicing, and you'll realize it pretty quick, you have to always like keep your engine power at a decent amount so you can run away. Now I'm playing against 2 slicers, so this is going to be even harder. So normally I would run to the middle here, and I would like post up to do gunship stuffs. But I'm just going to hide near this rock here, just because there's 2 of them. So I'm keeping a rock between me and him. So now the other guy's here. So I have to make sure I keep around this rock and keep LOSing. So I lost all of my engine power there. So now even though I'm gaining engine power, I'm making sure not to spacebar here. Because if I spacebar, my engine power regeneration will stop. So I'm trying to just hold W using those arrows that are showing me where they are. See, now I'm going to distortion and run. I'm going to actually use my missile brake before they finish the lock on, because they're probably trying to like lock me on and then slice me, right? So they got me here.
That did take both of us.
Yep.
That was my slice and did you get a slice too, Sylvie? I had a slice.
I
and
sliced
the missile
too.
was away.
Yep.
Okay, sick.
We saw my engine power drain too, which was good. Now you're not always going to get away, right? But the idea here is to stall long enough so that you're forcing them, and the other thing is to bring them back to your team. So I would be bringing them over, you know, and then. So the other thing playing against slicing is, you know, you can shoot. So I'm using distortion to break that missile lock, and then I'm LOSing. I'm using the structures to break that line of sight. So I just got sliced to no engine power. So I'm just going to hold W and like not spacebar. We want to use the least amount of engine power possible here. I'm going to use a little bit to get around the corner. They just sliced me, so I'm going to use distortion to break that one. And then you see I'm still like, even though I'm not taking, I'm still trying not to boost here. And then I'm going to barrel roll because I know the other slice is coming back soon. I'm going to try to save enough engine power so that when this one slices me, I still have some, but it was still too long. So now I'm just going to use this rock. Still low. And then as soon as, yeah, there's the other slice. That was good. I'm going to distortion here just to break some damage. Try to get around, but you know, eventually they're going to get you, right? 2 players just constantly on you. They're going to get you.
This is a realistic representation of how much support you have when you fly solo.
All right, let's try some Strike Fighter. They have more engine power to start, and just a little bit tankier too. So let's try that. Now, like if 2 players are constantly doing this to you, you're not going to be able to fight back, basically. All right, so there's the first slice. Just hugging the wall here. We got all of our engines back already. So there's the second slice. See, we have tons of engine power. So now, like, as soon as that slice is done, we could take off. It's much easier in a strike fighter because, you know, you're faster. You have more engine power. And just a lot to it. We ran out of good slice. Now we're waiting and we're trying to regen. There's the second slice. So now, like, they double slice here. We could actually get aggressive here. Because we have, like, at least 10 seconds where they can't slice us. So now their slices are back up. We got to go back to playing defensive. There's one. There's the other one. Now they've staggered them though, so we won't be able to get aggressive again. Which is kind of what you want to be doing if you're playing two slicing ships together. You want to stagger them. While you won't get all of their engine power right away, what you'll do is like make it so that, you know, he can never get aggressive. Because if he ever gets aggressive, he just, you know, dies. Yeah, this is how you break missiles. Like, if you had someone not slicing you, just constantly trying to missile break you, you could do this too. Whereas if you just had one person on you, you could probably turn around and get aggressive. But the idea here is that if you're occupying two players and they can't kill you, and you're bringing them into a bad spot, you know, because we're closer to my spawn than theirs, hopefully your teammates can peel for you. And if your teammates can't peel for you, then your team is just weaker than the enemy team in a whole, so your team should lose the game. That's how numbers work.
He was serious.
But
I know what I'm doing.
but yeah, so it's the general idea here. Now, because slicing is such a good CC ship, a good lockdown ship, right? Two of them are gonna, like, two decent slicing ships are going to make it so that one player just basically can't get aggressive, and that's okay. That's fine for two players to be able to do that in a team game, because they're sacrificing their numbers, right? Your team should be able to do stuff. Oh, I thought I was gonna get sliced there. So I'll show you guys this cool spot. So I find it.
So us to keep shooting you?
No. Well, yes, you can keep shooting me. Sorry. Yeah, so up here, there's like this hangar thing where you can make this corner. I was going a little fast for that one. Yeah, here, I'll show you guys again a little bit slower. I see a lot of bombers go in here. You can evade a lot of people through there, though, because not everyone can make it through. Anyways, I think that was long enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on a strike fighter, you should be able to do it. Like, on a gunship, you're not going to be able to evade two slices forever. And that's what I was talking about, that, like, being defensive on a gunship is not quite as easy as the other ships. You're gonna get got eventually. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you guys get me. Ah, oh. Yeah, I saw him try to EMP the missile.
I was too far away.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got? It's pretty much most of what was sent to me. Does anyone have any more questions in chat?
Do you want to show counters?
Do I want to show counters? What do you mean?
Like slicing or EMPs for pile driving? We talked about pile driving. But
Oh, yeah.
How to stop pile driving.
Right, so if I'm playing Ricer and I'm doing the pile driving trick, right? One of the very easy ways to stop this is someone just slice me.
I have to come back, so he's on a racer.
Oh, okay.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, one of the really, like, slicing and EMP effects stop you from using your system ability. So if you have a player that's like rocking both.
Incoming slice, oh shit.
Yeah, so now I can't switch weapons because my system's disabled. So you've pretty much eliminated their ability. So if you play against Oku, just slice them a bunch. Oku's gonna be thrilled with me.
What's the range on slicing?
Slicing has a 5,000 meter range.
But like,
Right. You just spam it. Yeah, this is what feedback looks on when you get shot from it. Yeah, Sylvie had feedback, so
Oh.
it's all good. What else can we show, guys? Maybe 2 hours was too long.
No, it's good. Pretty much everyone's still here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what else we can show.
Can you feedback a feedback?
No. They only trigger off primary stuff.
Do you want to show Ion Railguns work?
Sure.
I'll bring a bomber and hide.
That didn't kill me.
I have to work to kill that ship. So I'm gonna be really clever here. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try and set up a good position here at mid. We're over top the cruiser there at the bottom.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna make a little nest here, and ideally in a bigger match, some gunships would come and set up here, and we'd try and control mid and get some DO. And I'm gonna hide a
Yeah.
little bit.
Now, what's great about Ion Railgun is that it... Alright, I missed. Grats me. If you shoot like a drone, it will AoE.
Oh fuck me! I'm.
Yeah, so even though... Yeah.
And you have the weapon and engine drain on too, so
Yep.
I'm losing engine power now.
Yeah, so even though they're behind a rock, I'm still able to arc shots to them.
Those 2 hits ripped one of my arcs entirely.
And it's draining. And then on the actual targets themselves, one thing you have to know is, so ion weapons, like they do good damage against shields, but once you got rid of the shields, you can see that it's only doing like 400 damage, right? Because they only do
Pop a Hydrospanner.
they do very little actual damage to hull. But what's happening is they're losing a ton of weapon and engine power.
Oh yeah, I can't boost at all. I have no engine power, it's completely drained.
And what's really nice is, so you can see this debuff up here, which is power disruption.
Satellite defenses powering up. This battle
Not really, you.
EMP's taking out bomber nests?
Yeah, so even though I'm not charging the full railgun, the debuff still gets applied for full.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have the slow or the reactor drain, you can just tag them with the quick one. However, the drain is proportional to the amount you charge a railgun. So normally it takes away like 60 engine power, depending on how much percentage of the railgun you charged. We'll take just a percentage of that. Anyways, this game's about to time out.
There we go.
There wasn't anything else on the forums, right? It was just those 2 questions. Yeah, I think so.
When is damage released to the next attacker? You kind of went over that. Oh, there's another one here. Is it worth power dive for mobility getting to the satellite at the start?
Yeah, that's the one we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that one earlier.
Oh yeah, that was the other. Oh, that was the timing. Right?
Yep. Timing the different stuff.
You could show how you can make people crash with interdiction drive.
With interdiction drive?
I had that idea while you were flying around the set. The T1 gunship gets it. I guess theoretically you could get somebody to weave through there and pop it on them.
Yeah, I'm trying not to show too niche of stuff, right? Or niche, or whatever you call
that's
it.
Ridiculous.
It's just, yeah, I'm trying to show stuff that would help players play GSF.
Oh, did you want to do a joust with power management?
Oh yeah, I could show that. That's a good idea. Let's actually just show power management real quick.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to use a gunship for this because it's more dramatic. And then I'll
I'm gonna
switch.
use a scout because that's what I'd go hunt a gunship with.
I have a whole guide on power management on the forums if you're interested in reading all the nitty-gritty details. But let's go over how to manage engine and weapon power properly, because it's very important on a gunship. The pros and cons of different engine abilities. I absolutely can. We can do that after this. That one's easier to do from the hangar because we can show the cooldowns and whatnot of each ability. Alright, so first up, power settings at the bottom left. We're in balanced power right now. If you want to go faster, press F3 to put power to engines. Here's the difference. So here's me going around in F3, and we power to engines kind of slows us down here. Speed back up. Alright, so every time you press boost, you start boosting, there's an initial cost compared to just holding it down. So if you spam your engines, you just burn them all really quick. So now we're going to wait for the engines to come back. After 3 seconds of not boosting, your engine power regeneration gets faster. That's what's called the regeneration delay. So if we hold and boost, it goes down. And then again, if we spam it, it goes down much faster. And if you watch the engine after not boosting, how it suddenly started regenerating much faster. Here, I'll show you again. So now we stop. 1, 2, 3. It jumps up. My counting was a little fast there. 1, 2, 3. It starts regenerating faster. So that means, like, if you're out of engine power, hold on, I'm just going to drain it. If you're out of engine power, right, and you're trying to get somewhere, you want to wait. You want to wait until your engine power goes all the way back up before you hit that space bar again. Also, if you're chasing someone, you want to avoid, and sometimes it's better to do these short little bursts, right? Like you're trying to chase someone, and then you turn, and you do another little burst type idea. But the more you do that, the more engine power you're draining. All right. As far as weapon power goes, when you're charging a railgun, depending on which mode you're in, you're going to drain it faster or slower, because you're actually constantly regenerating even when you're using it. Right? It's still going up. Now, weapons only has a 1.5 second delay, which means that it only takes a second and a half of you not shooting for the extra regen to kick in. It means if you're using your railgun, I'm actually going to go in F3 here to drain this faster. If you get to the bottom of your railgun power, it's better to wait until it goes all the way back to full before you start shooting again. Because you're going to regenerate more weapon power to get more shots that way. You also get more shots by being in power to weapons because you're regenerating faster while shooting. And then once you're low, if all you do is keep waiting for one shot, you're constantly not letting that extra regen kick in. So you're just stuck in that mode. Whereas if you let it go all the way back to full, you can get a bunch of uninterrupted shots in. So this is kind of what you want to build into your muscle memory. This letting your delays kick in for a little bit, like the waiting, because you'll end up with more shots. Now, you should. There's always exceptions to the rule, right? Like if someone's out there with 1% health and you only need one shot to get them, then yeah, don't wait for an entire weapon bar to kill them. You wanna shoot them then. But the idea here is that most of the time it is better to just finish off your target and then regenerate your weapons all the way to full and then start on the next target. That way you get the most shots in a row on that target without any delay. The other thing is, so you can see this a lot on Ion Railgun, is after you fire, you can't actually start charging immediately because there's a cooldown. Slug has one too, but it's a lot shorter. Half actually. You can immediately see start charging. However, if you start with one railgun, then immediately swap, you can start charging immediately. This is how you fire like quick succession railguns, because there's no cooldown. So if you were to try to, kill Amethyst here, we'd charge the Ion, and then switch, and there was no delay there.
That was at full health, by the way.
Yeah, it just takes one Ion and one slug to kill another gunship. What else were we doing, guys? Supposed to do something on a strike, right?
The guy had a question. He talked about pros and cons of different engine abilities. Oh yeah, we were also going to do power management in duels.
Oh, in duels. Yes, in a joust. Got it. Let's go show that. Alright. So normally, whenever you're firing lasers, you want to be in power to weapons at F1, because you're dealing more damage with your lasers, and you're, again, regenerating weapon power, right? But, let me go find Amethyst here.
Oh, Sylvie's closer. I think Sylvie has a Vicer too.
He's on a Quell right now.
Oh. Just in a gunship. It'll work in a gunship.
It's fine. The idea here is just to show, like, alright, so anyways, you want to be at F1 to deal more damage, right? Now, when you're in F2 and power to shields, you have a higher maximum shield. So thank you for EMPing me. Now I can't switch weapons. You have a higher max shields. So when you start the fight, you'll be able to take some free damage, air quotes free here. Because if he shoots me, a couple of times, and then I switch to power to weapons, I haven't lost anything. Nothing, like, he essentially did no damage to me. So I can start in power to shields. I'm just going to wait till it's full here. And then, go ahead. So we start shooting each other, and then once I'm not blue anymore, I switched to power to weapons and started firing the more powerful weapons. And the idea here is the first couple of shots do less damage, but my opponent's shots essentially do nothing because I have that extra shields. So if you come into a joust with another strike fighter that's doing the same trick, the pile driving trick,
I didn't bring a racer.
It's fine. But the idea would be you start in power to shields, and then you fire, and then once you lose this like blue section of your shields here, then you switch to power to weapons and you keep shooting. It gives you a couple of extra hits. Now, if they've already dealt damage to you, this doesn't help you. if you've gotten hit, then don't bother with this trick because you won't be regenerating much shields after you get shot because of the regen delay on shields. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave this and head. Oh, you have a Piledriver? Sorry, I'm coming. All right. So you just be in F1 and do your thing, Sylvie. 3, 2, 1. All right. Never mind. Let's wait.
Bad Sylvie.
Yeah. All right. Let's just wait for shields back. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So you can see, like, I just barely won, but the difference was those few shots. Nice. Alright, I'm going to leave battle to go show the difference between the engine maneuvers.
I missed the second shot. I don't even want to take the third one. I'm Yui after.
Careful, Yu's going to kill you.
Not if I leave the game.
Alright, so we'll start with barrel roll. It's got the longest cooldown. It's pretty straightforward. It just shoots you about 11,000 meters forward, right?
It's literally straightforward.
Yeah, it's literally straightforward.
That is the direction it goes.
This ability gives you 24% evasion and 4 seconds of missile immunity when you use it, but it has a 20-second cooldown and one of the highest engine costs of all of the abilities. So while it's very mobile, it's very bad at keeping you safe from missile locks. After you use barrel roll, you kind of want to make sure you're hiding behind line of sight and doing basically what I was doing against the slicers, where you're just constantly breaking missile locks by using terrain. Next up we have retro thrusters, which is one of the more aggressive missile breaks. It only has a 15-second cooldown, and it gives the 24% evasion again, but it only breaks missiles for 3 seconds, unlike barrel roll's 4 seconds. And the reason this one is so popular is because you can stay on target. It's aggressive. You can come at someone and they fire a missile and you could just retro and you could keep shooting them because it doesn't change your orientation.
Moves back and forth on the same trajectory.
Yeah, and the other nice thing about retros is if you're defending a satellite and you're like on top or below a satellite and you're confident that there's nothing behind you, you can use retro and kind of stay on top of the satellite. I should probably show that off. We'll go do that after. But you can stay so that you're constantly still capping the satellite or defending the satellite. Koi Grain turn is interesting. It's one thing it's got is the fact that it's a 15-second cooldown again. It says 20 here, but it's just because I haven't upgraded it to drop the 5 seconds off. Now it basically just turns you around in place, and the power of this ability right now is that even though it says it prevents missile locks for 4 seconds, it's actually 5 seconds. So it's got one of the longest missile immunity things after you use the move. So even though it doesn't move you very much, it gives you plenty of time to get to line of sight, so you can run there. The other advantage is that on like a satellite, you can use it, and again, you never stop capping the satellite. You stay on that satellite.
Let's bring up the disadvantages of K-turn.
You don't move very much. So if you're trying to use your engine maneuver to get away from someone's lasers, or trying to get out of line of sight from like a gunship that's trying to shoot you, it's just not happening. Even though you get the extra evasion, you're still like not moving very much, so they can still keep you on target.
K-turn boosts your accuracy too. That's kind of hard to do.
I just disregard that because it's like never useful. Next up, we're gonna look at the blood mark because it has Snap turn.
Oh yeah.
So snap
That's
turns.
fun.
Snap turn is really cool. So one thing about snap turn is it's a 180 turn like K turn, but it gives you a little boost after you do it. So it does move you a little bit more than K turn does, which means those people that are trying to track you for lasers or railguns or whatnot, you're moving a little bit more. It has a
And the
5
turn is faster too.
Yes, it has a 5-second missile immunity, just like K-turn. So it's great for that. But the big cool reason to use snap turn is that it gives a whopping 50% evasion instead of the regular 24% that the other engine maneuvers give you. So that's the difference between snap turn. I really like snap turn, but it's on very few ships. So, and then we have power dive, and power dive is this ridiculous 90-degree vertical turn move that shoots you straight down and makes you upside down once you get there. So this move has a 12-second cooldown instead of 15, and that's one of the reasons to use it, is because you have more engine brakes, right? But the other reason to use it is power dive doesn't cost any engine power once upgraded. It is one of the lowest costs. It starts at 10, and then once you get this upgrade, it reduces it to 0. And what's really cool about that is because of that regeneration delay we talked about earlier with engine power, that if you spacebar, you have to wait 3 seconds before you get back into your high regeneration rate. If you're in that high regeneration rate and you use power dive, you remain in that high regeneration rate for the entire maneuver. So you can, just use power dive to travel and just keep regaining engine power while you're doing it, or you can, it just gives you more engine power to play with, and that's why power dive is one of the biggest ones. Like, we can look at the converters, Lord Albert, but they're just honestly not very good. Even though they have missile brakes now, they're just not really worth playing, sadly. I experimented with them a lot when they first got buffed to have missile brakes, and I thought I was on to something with the Quell, and then I realized that not having the engine maneuver against, say a scout that's got burst lasers that's behind you trying to kill you, you have no way to get out of his line of fire. Engine maneuvers are one of the ways you can do that. If someone's chasing behind you on a satellite and you use retro or K-turn, or a Koi Grand turn, sorry, to just get out of their line of sight, that helps a lot. It gives you time for you to regenerate some shields or just get a different angle. But if they turn faster than you and you have this converter, you just can never ever get away. They'll always be behind you.
What about on bombers with converters?
Yeah, on bombers the converters are fine. That gives them access to a missile brake. Now, you don't really want it on the over hyperspace beacon, because beacon is great, so you wouldn't want it on that ship. But say we're looking at the Legion, right? Yeah, the Legion, you almost always use the converter, and we used to always use the extra shield power, just to make it a little bit tankier. But now we tend to always use the missile brake, and yeah, this is fine. But it's kind of the only option, right? That's the thing. Interdiction drive is just really bad.
You're not trying to go anywhere usually in the Legion, so
Yeah. So yeah, that's the difference between the engine abilities. The big things are, barrel roll is a nice move if you just want a ton of mobility to pick up damage overcharges in deathmatch. And for the most part, the ships that are running barrel roll these days are either the ships that have to, like the Mangler / Quarrel, or ships that are just really trying to play to the power-ups in deathmatch. Barrel roll is really bad in domination. Really bad. So yeah. I'm going to tee up another...
Takes you so far away from satellites.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Someone just asked me to talk about Fortress Shield really quick. So Fortress Shield is just really bad, guys. Just don't do it. All right, so we're actually gonna do a quick demonstration of why Fortress Shield is so bad in this next game too. Sure, let's increase the duration. Okay, so I'm gonna tee up another game real quick. This will probably be the last thing we show off here. We'll just show off Fortress Shield and how to retro on a satellite real quick. And then we'll probably call it after that. Alright, I'm going to do the retro first, and then we'll do Fortress.
Here we go. So many strikes.
Alright, so let's say you're on a satellite, right? I'm just going to go to B, and someone locks a missile on you, and you have to use your engine brake. But you want to stay on the satellite so that you're still capping. What you can do is you can just go through here and like retro. And this keeps you on the satellite for most of the time during your missile break. This way you're still defending, or you're still attacking. You know, whatever you want. You can do it. You know, you can even do it underneath the satellite too. You can go to one of the sides underneath the fins, and you could just like boost out and then retro, right? Then you've stayed on the satellite the whole time. You can see how my opponents aren't capping the satellite because I'm still here, even though I'm retroing. So you can do it on the sides of a satellite too, right? So you can just retro like this. They're going to cap for a little bit. See how they got a couple of ticks in? But for the most part, I didn't have to leave, right? If you power dive or you barrel roll, you've pretty much just left the satellite. And again, like you can do it here. You can go straight up, right? So they didn't cap there either. I think that's because we might be here, but
Yeah, I can leave if you want.
I'm just anyways. So that's how that works. Like the idea of just like giving you a spot to retro, so that they don't get any ticks of capping the satellite. Alright, I'm going to show you guys Fortress Shield and why it's really bad.
I'm so excited.
Amethyst is off the node, I cap.
Alright, so we can see this. Increases shield strength. I'm just going to stop for a second here. Increases shield strength by 130% for 40 seconds. So
Wow.
you gain double your shields, right? You gain double your shields.
So
But you can't move. You can't move. That's the big part, right? So don't shoot me yet, guys. All right, here's what I really want to show you guys. All right, so I have blue shields. They're gonna shoot at me. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to shoot me until I'm at 50% of my shields on your screen, right? So it should say 75 at the top right. And just tell me when I'm there.
Okay, there.
So now I move. Oh look, all my shields are gone.
Oh shit, you have no shields at all.
0 shields at all.
I'm gonna shoot you once, by the way.
Yeah. Alright, and here's why that is. The way Fortress Shield works is that let's say you start with 100 shields, right? And then you activate Fortress Shields, it puts you at 230, right? If someone were to shoot you for 130, you would think that when you moved, you would be back at 100 shields, right? Because all that's happened is they've done your fortress amount of damage. But what really happens is that as soon as you move, to break the fortress shield buff, it immediately takes 130 of your shields away. So if all you do is press fortress and move, it takes 130 away. You actually saw me lose shields by activating fortress and moving. I was at blue shields and all I did was activate fortress and move, and I lost shields. Because it takes it away all as soon as you move. So the only way fortress works is if you literally just sit there and let them kill you, right? And that's why fortress is so bad. It doesn't matter how much shields it gives you, they can keep adding more numbers, but if as soon as you move you lose it all, even if you, because like even after you've activated fortress shield, they're not shooting the fortress shield, right? They're shooting your shield you had beforehand. So go ahead and shoot me to 75 again, just to show you guys.
There.
Say I move, and I have no shields. So I didn't have no shields there, but it just took away all of the fortress shields that it had layered on. So there's no buffer. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, I have yellow shields, we'll turn fortress, we'll move, back to yellow. Like, it just takes it away immediately. Not to mention, like, even if it didn't do that, in GSF, mobility is so important. Like, being able to dodge shots is everything. So you can't just
not get into the bad habits.
Yeah, you can't just sit there and let yourself take damage. Go ahead, guys. Like, it doesn't even make you last that long. So yeah, that is why Fortress Shield is terrible, and I feel
bothering to do a lock on at the same time.
Yeah.
If I had cluster missiles too, actually.
yeah, I feel like that is a great thing to add on. It's just showing off Fortress Shield.
What about rotational thrusters, Draco? What about
They're-
rotational thrusters?
Also very bad.
Doesn't that make it good? Doesn't rotational thrusters make Fortress Shield good?
No, it does not. Alright guys, thank you very much to you guys for helping me pop challenge games to show all this stuff off. That was very helpful. And thanks for everyone who hung out to watch stuff.
Thanks for having us, Draco.
If you guys found this really useful and want me to do another one of these at some point, make sure to let me know, either on the forums or next time I'm streaming or something like that. You can send me mail in game too. But yeah, if you really like this, then I could try to do it again. Thanks a bunch, guys. See you next time.